Welcome everyone to another weekly sales meeting that we host on our Facebook Live page. I just want to thank you for coming out. My name is Marc Summers. I'm the president of AIME. And listen, winding down the year, really everyone's crushing their goals. Really excited about this year, to finish out this year, and really excited about next year as well. So let's start talking about our weekly topic that we're going to have here, which is using data to make better informed decisions. Now, I really want everyone to think about this because there's many different ways to do this. And I'll go through some generalization stuff. And then in the second segment, I'll go through kind of what I'm doing as a broker. As I've told you guys multiple times, you're probably sick of hearing this, is that I am a broker as we speak, still writing deals, still fighting the same fight you guys are fighting every day. So first off, what I want you guys to do is dive deep into every business decision you've made throughout the entire year and see if it was a benefit for you. Now, I know that sounds really simple, but this year was a crazy year in the sense of, listen, we were all crushing our goals. We were all doing great. We were all probably making more money than what we're used to within reason, or having that gravy money. And sometimes it's easier to make those knee-jerk reactions on business decisions. So now what you got to do is you got to go back and take a look at every decision that you've made and make sure it's what's best for your immediate time now and for the future. Because listen, these low rates, who knows if they're going to stay here as long as they are. But listen, we got to continue to move forward and continue to build our book of business so we can be successful in the future. Second thing is expensive always isn't the greatest thing in the world. Sometimes expensive just means expensive because of the back-end system, whatever the case may be. Perfect example is I was speaking to a member and they're talking to me about how much they spend per lead. And then once you start to do the cost analysis of it, it's just not worth it. You know what I mean? So expensive doesn't necessarily mean good. Take a look at it. And listen, what we're trying to do here at AIME is make everything and all of our vendors, everything to you as cost effective as possible. You know what I mean? So we always claim that we have low overhead. So keep the low overhead and do what we do best, which is serve consumers and, give low rates, lower closing costs, and give the best service possible. Now, next thing is I've been in this business since 2001, and one of the biggest complaints that we've always had is we didn't really have technology. We didn't have all the tools at our fingertips. Guess what? We do now. We really do now. So you got to learn how to use those tools and use the analytics behind it, taking a deep dive into the information and see if it's really worth it, whatever the case may be, whether it's your LOS, your POS, whatever the case may be, and look at the cost effectiveness of everything to make sure you're setting yourself up for success later on down the line. Lastly, define what's working for you. You really got to define what's working for you. Now, I'm a big proponent of, trying to get better at the things I'm worse at, but there's also that fine line of, listen, is this really what's good for me? Is this what's working for me right now? Is this what I'm about? Remember, as I've always said, there's 1,000 different ways to run a brokerage right, and you get to put your own personality into it. If you're not, a big video person, then don't do a ton of videos. Even though I promote it, then don't do a ton of them. So use what's working for you. So if working for you is literally cold calling, which may not be the most effective way, but if it's getting out, doing meetings with realtors, then continue to do that. Use what's best and what's working for you. Okay, so those are just some generalities I would like to speak about, or that I did talk about. And now let's just get into some highlights of what's going on the AIME side of things. So first off, the Brokers Are Better Network. Highlighting today is MBS Highway. Now, if you've never heard of MBS Highway, it's a great tool. I personally have incorporated it into my business. I've had it now for a couple years, and I absolutely love it. It's obviously headed by Barry Habib. Everyone loves Barry. He pretty much has spoken at all of our shows within reason, and everyone loves him. He does a great job. He is obviously for the broker. And the great thing about his system is it basically gives market analysis. So my question to you is probably, what's the number one question you get from consumers, which is this: are rates going to go lower? Are rates going to go higher? Are rates going to stay the same? How long do I have? Well, this system right here gives you probably the best insight that you could possibly have into those questions. Now, obviously, no one has a crystal ball here, but it also offers some other cool tools for realtors, social media, scripts, gives you market analysis. It does a great job. Just like I said, it's headed by Barry, and knowing Barry, he puts out a great product at all times. So if you want more information and obviously an AIME discount, go to aimegroup.com, go to our Brokers Are Better page, and they're obviously part of our vendor network and one of our great vendors that we have. So check it out if you want more information. Next, we have our Broker to Broker podcast. Now, I've talked about this podcast multiple times. I absolutely love this podcast because we bring in some of the best people in the country, whether they're a broker owner, a processor, originator, whatever it is, and shows you their side of the business. and we have a brand new episode, and the guest was Karina Carter. Now, she's part of CMS Mortgage, and she has a unique approach at things. And if you've ever met her, she's phenomenal, okay? But she had a unique approach on how to double her business with her processes and procedures. And I don't know if you guys ever remember the first weekly sales meeting I did. I'm big on processes and procedures. You always got to be looking at your process. Obviously, she dialed hers in and her procedures properly to double her business. Yes, double her business. So that's awesome. And then she also talks about a unique buddy system, as I like to call it, where she partners up new LOs and new processors with experience to make sure they're being mentored right the whole way. So with our Broker to Broker podcast, it's hosted by JP. JP does a great job. You can get it on Google, Apple, Spotify, any platform that you have to listen to podcasts. So I highly suggest you go check it out. It's a brand new episode. Next, the Lender Spotlight that I'd like to talk about is Rene Wholesale. Now, Rene Wholesale has come back out with the investor cash flow. Now, I don't want to get too many details of it because I'm not their AE or anything like that. But basically, it's a cash flow and it's a non-QM product. And basically what it is, as long as your gross rent is equal to or more than your PITI, you're good to go. You're basically qualified. So I don't want to get too much more into that because I don't want to oversell it or undersell it at the same time. Just know that there's, obviously during the pandemic, QM products kind of went by the wayside. They're coming back. Listen, there's a need. It's another arrow in your quiver. So check it out. If you want to find out more information on the product, go to Rene Wholesale. If you're not signed up with them or any of our other great partners, please go through us at partnerships@aimegroup.com. We'll get you signed up. It helps us. It helps us track everything so we can serve our community better. So one thing that I've been excited about, and I was kind of fighting with our EVP, Katie Sweeney, about this, of who's going to make this announcement. And I'm telling you, with AIME, I always like to think we have big announcements, but this one is really huge to me. I think it's going to be huge to a lot of people. But listen, when we did Fuse this year, although we did it virtually, we released a program called Spark. Now, if you're not familiar with Spark, it's going to be a grant program, a nonprofit that we grant money to up-and-coming business owners or people who want to start their own brokerage shop for minorities and women, okay? So it's a great program, but the huge announcement, and especially today on Veterans Day, is that we're releasing it to the military military service men and women of our country. So what better way to, thank them for everything that they've done for us, for our freedom and for our country. But then number two, what's a better way of showing gratitude to help them get into this great broker channel and get them started in this business, because it is a great business. I've told you guys this a million times. I absolutely love this business. I wouldn't trade it for anything right now. Okay, so I'm really excited about that announcement. So the Spark program is now available to military service men and women. So extremely excited about that. And if you want more information, you can always contact our offices on that. Last but not least, today we're having a Veterans Facebook special. It's a live Facebook feed on our AIME Facebook channel. So it's tonight at 6 p.m. I'm going to be hosting it tonight, but it's great because our guests are great. I announced them last week, but it talks about how veterans need to know how to protect themselves with a VA loan. And not only that, so we're also looking at the consumer side of it, but then what we're doing is we're going to hit on the broker side of it and how they can use VA loans to help protect veterans. So it's a great day. Obviously, it's Veterans Day. Great announcement. It's going to be a great Facebook Live tonight. I'm really excited about it. So once again, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. What I'm going to do right now, as always, he does a great job for us. I'm going to toss it over to Rene so he can shed his insight on this topic. So Rene, take it away.
Thanks, team. Okay, so I want to talk to you about the importance of using data to drive your decisions. And I want to get real specific about how we do that in the sales process and in sales management. The big problem is that all of us typically, and most loan officers, most salespeople, run their business emotionally following a very specific neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine is the same neurotransmitter that we get when we make a sale, when we drink alcohol, when you have sex, when you do all of the things that are really great in life. It feels good. Dopamine's awesome. But we also get dopamine when we get a lead. So I want you to think about this example over here. And I'm going to show you a couple different pieces here. So take a look at this. You get, let's say if we were measuring how many leads you get from a referral source, because this is a typical thing. You have to measure referral sources. And so The broad category of referral sources would be like, for example, your database, realtors, social media, seminars, those kinds of things. And so let's say that your database gave you 52 leads and your realtors gave you 190. Okay. So which one's giving you more dopamine? Of course, we're going to follow those realtors. Now, the next thing you have to be able to measure is lead source detail. That is, of your database, and just so you know, database has 4 elements. It's your past clients, it's your current clients, current client referrals, and past client referrals. And friends and family. Okay? And so friends and family, current clients, current client referrals, and past client referrals, and past clients. So those 5. And so once you understand that that's what makes up your database, what about realtors? You want to be able to track the lead source detail of your realtors. That means which realtors are giving you what. And so let's take a look at this example here. We're looking at, just look at the numbers here. You've got Gilbert giving you 17 leads, Sergio giving you 24, Martha giving you 17, and Alex and Luis giving you 10, and Maria giving you 17, right? So from a quick glance, where are we spending our time? In fact, I've asked this question to thousands of loan officers, and this is, by the way, this is an actual tracking sheet that we have, and these are real numbers. And 100% of the people will tell me that they're going to spend their time with Sergio, Gilbert, Martha, Alex and Luis, and Maria. There's a big problem with that. Can you guess what it is? The problem is that you're making that decision based on emotion and the wrong data. See, what really matters is what's the conversion ratio of those leads. And if you're not tracking this information, you're running your business solely based on emotion. So let's take a look at what's the conversion ratio, where we're looking at Gilbert from 17 leads only converted to 2, and Sergio only converted 2 of 24, and Martha 13, 3 only converted, Alex and Luis 10, 0 converted, and Maria 17 leads, none converted. Think about that for a minute. Now, if you don't have this data to track it, here's where it gets scary. You're going to follow the dopamine. You're going to think, wow, they give me leads. And that lead, the moment you get that lead, you get that shot. And it feels fantastic. And you feel good and you feel good. If you're not tracking, you're going to follow the dopamine. And when I showed this to the sales manager that had this list, he stopped, fell back in his chair, because he looked and he was missing all these others with conversion ratios of 43%, 50%, 60%. And he didn't spend any time with them. All his time was spent on the people giving him the leads that weren't converting. And so you have to be able to understand not only tracking data, but tracking the right data. Data that will help you make decisions, data that will help you use your time more effectively. And if you don't think that that's a bad thing, think of how much time you spend on a lead that doesn't convert, on somebody it's a wild goose chase, chasing down phone numbers, calling them, waiting for them to call back. And if you're not tracking that information, you're only going to remember the positive piece. And you're going to follow those that are constantly giving you leads. So you have to be able to track this information to make decisions. Now, here's the really cool part. When you track this information, it increases the quality of the conversations that you have with these referral partners. You can copy and paste saying, hey, just wanted to give you an update. To date, we have received X amount of leads that have converted to X amount of deals. I wanted to thank you for your business. And on the other side, imagine somebody that gave you 17 leads and 0 converted. That translates into a totally different conversation. And that's a conversation, if you go back to slowing down for yellow lights, that's the conversation you want to have, where you have the courage to bring it up, to say, hey, Maria, I want to tell you, you know what? I have concern. And Maria's going to say, what's the concern? And you say, well, to date, I see that you've sent us 17 leads, but yet 0 have converted. Now, we've spent a lot of time tracking down those leads, and I guess my question is are we getting your best leads? And to be silent. Those are the kind of conversations that are driven from data. And when you can present that data to a referral source, your credibility goes through the roof. And when you can hold people accountable to that, what you'll find is that they weren't tracking either. And they're probably going to feel immensely embarrassed and do everything they can to make it up for you. So when you have that conversation, you do it with tact, you do it with respect, and you do it from a data perspective. So again, we have to be able to track the data that will actually help us make better decisions. So when you think about it, it doesn't have to be hard. Just create a spreadsheet, Follow where the sources are coming from, and then the detail behind them. And I like to track leads, units, and conversion of those. You can even get fancy to say, what percentage of income does this person make up for me? If you really want to track your ROI, return on investment, but also your ROE, your return on your energy. And so it's critical that you are tracking the data, but using that data to make good decisions. So like every week, how productive was it this week? We're getting close to the end of the year. This is the time to finish strong. And so this is also the time to start building those systems so you can go into 2021 to make it your best year yet. I look forward to seeing you here every week. Back to you, Philly.
Thanks, Rene. Thanks for, as always, sharing your insight on the topic that we want to discuss week to week. You do a great job for us. As always, thank you for everything you do. So as Rene and myself earlier talked about it, we're talking about data and how we can make better informed decisions. So what I want to do here is just kind of give you a little insight on what I'm going to do. It's probably some just low-level stuff here, but at the same time, I'm always working to make sure my business is better. And I can't express how important it is to always try to use data and to always use analytics to make better business decisions. So first off, I'm a big person on tracking everything. Okay. Now, when it comes to phone calls, conversations, emails, everything, one of the things, that I have done in the last 2 years now is every process that we have, I want to make sure it's traceable. Okay. I want to make sure it's trackable so we can always go back and visit things on it. So every aspect of my business is trackable. I want you to sit back and look at your business and think about how your business can be trackable and how you can use that data right there to make better decisions, whether it's how many online applications are you taking opposed to how many over the phone applications. Where's your money best spent? Where's your time best spent? Now, obviously, the first thing I want everyone to do is make sure the consumer comes first, which I think everyone does here. But it's also about how to scale your business properly that way with data. So that's tip number one. Number two is when you have proper data, you have more confidence. It's a fact. So if I know that, hey, 99% of my customers prefer to fill out an online application, guess what? They're going to fill out an online application, and it gives me confidence to do it and make sure that, I have the confidence to know that they're comfortable filling out an online application and I'm serving them the best that I possibly can with that. So that's why I always talk about know what's trackable, know what's not. That's just one little idea right there. Other things that we do, obviously, there's so much data depending on your website, Facebook, whatever the case may be. Just make sure you have proper data to make confident decisions. Next, as I said earlier, it's important to get better at deficiencies, but there's also that fine line of taking it where maybe your deficiency, you can't fix your deficiency within reason. Okay, and what I mean by that is, you may have a really strong point and really hit on that strong point hard. Now, I also want everyone to work on their deficiencies. Just like I said, it's a fine line. So when I start talking about deficiencies, is I always thought my deficient thing was actually doing videos. But I get that for my company, I get the biggest response with videos. So I'm going to work on it more because I see a high side of it, and I think I have a deficiency there. So I'm going to continue to get better at it. All right. So know what's going on, know what's not working for you. So if you're buying expensive leads and you're just not getting the turnover, how much time are you wasting on that? How much time are you wasting on cold calling them or warm calling in essence? Okay. And then you have to know what to exploit. A lot of my members here are great at speaking and being boisterous out there. So use it in your Facebook. I'm just trying to give you guys ideas. It's just to know how to get better at your deficiencies along with exploiting what you're really good at. And I'm telling you, every single one of us have our own little expertise. The last thing that I always do is I talk about blocking off time or call blocks. Either way you want to look at it. Sometimes it is calling. Sometimes it's calling pre-approvals. Sometimes it's calling realtors. And other times it's blocks of sending emails, and maybe it's birthday emails, or maybe you have a CRM that does that. But what I try to do is I try to block off time to focus on one exact thing, and then I trace it, I track it, okay? And what I can do then from that point on for the following week or month, I can track if that half an hour of block time that I had worked. I know it worked by tracking it with maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 deals, however many deals it is, or maybe it's a sit down with a realtor. I don't know, but what I'm trying to tell you is this: is make sure you're tracing and tracking everything that you possibly can. And I realized that right away. And it really hit home with realtors with me. When I was able to block it out and try to do certain things for those realtors, I was able to track it. Then I was able to see how many deals I got from it. So it just made my business scalable right there. So I know that was kind of some, these are just tips that I'm working on, things that I'm focusing on as being a broker. I mean, I could sit here and talk about this stuff all day, but, the main thing is using data that we have and making informed decisions. So you have to take a look in the mirror, boiling down to this, and figuring out what decisions can I make better with the data that I have. And I'm sure it will help your business, and hopefully you can scale how much it's going to help your business. So just want to throw that out there. I want to thank everyone for joining me. I do not have any legislative updates right now. It's just a crazy time out there. And I'm focusing on moving forward, trying to finish out the year really strong. So just want to thank Rene for being on today. Want to thank all of you for joining us on the weekly sales meeting. I know it's Veterans Day. It's a really special day in my heart for many different reasons. So thank you for joining me. I'm Marc Summers. I'm the president of AIME, and we'll see you next week at the weekly sales meeting.